everybody, a very happy December 24th to you. And I mean that in whatever capacity you celebrate it. If it's a holiday for you, great. If it's not, also great. It's just a Tuesday, and Tuesdays are fun. So welcome to the back room here, my little craft room. We're going to be doing a special little video today, and I wanted to have some place to kind of work from. This is a little stuffed animal that we will set over here. There's a story behind him, but we're not going to worry about it. Today, instead of doing something really, I guess we are doing something specific, but I didn't want to do anything holiday specific, but holiday adjacent rather. So we're going to do something related to that. So I have followers now, which is fun. Thank you for following me. I really appreciate it. And some of you are not people that know me very well or at all really. So I wanted to introduce some things that I really like and some things that I really enjoy just so that you could get to know me better. So I am calling this a few of my favorite things. One of my favorite Christmas carols, which isn't actually a Christmas carol at all, is My Favorite Things, which is the song from The Sound of Music. And I don't think I've ever actually seen The Sound of Music, but I know the song because my mother loved it and she would sing it to us when we were babies and stuff like that. So I have a warm, special, place for this song in my heart. So this video is going to just be my 5 favorite things. The first favorite thing that I have is upcycling. So a lot of people may not be aware of the difference between upcycling and recycling. I mean, the other R's are pretty simple: reuse. It's just reusing something over and over again in the current state that it is. Reduce just means reducing the amount of things that you use. And then recycle. Recycling is basically when the item that you're using gets broken down and remade into something new. So for example, I have, God, it's so big! This is the recycling tub that lives in my back room. So whenever I'm working like on my paper crafts or anything, it lives back here. I go through a lot of recycling, so there's a reason that I have a tub. Oh God, there goes the water. Okay. It's fine. It was saved by my Starbucks cup. So recycling is reducing it down to its basic components and then remaking it into something else. For example, paper, and able to recycle paper, they will tear up the paper scraps in a way that the paper fibers are preserved and then use those to create new products. Or say with glass, which is, paper can only be recycled so many times. However, glass is endlessly recyclable. The way that they recycle glass is that they melt it down to its molten state and then they can remake it into anything that they want. So that's sort of how recycling works. Upcycling is slightly different than recycling. Upcycling is something that can be done in the home. It can be done with a person. For example, I upcycle a lot. And upcycling is taking something in its current state and changing it in some way, shape, or form and using it as a project or a component of a larger piece. For instance, I am looking right now, actually this camera tripod is sitting on a rug that I crocheted using t-shirts that I had cut into yarn. This is actually a skein of some yarn that I had made that didn't make it into that project that will make it into my next one. This is a t-shirt that I had bought at a secondhand store for $1, and you can cut it in a way that you can turn it into rope that you can use in craft projects. So for this particular one, I had crocheted it, but you can knit, you can, braid it and make it into thicker rope. You can also just take t-shirts and remake them in a myriad of ways that aren't necessarily going to be just throwing them away or sending them to a recycling where they're going to be broken down and made into something else. The way that upcycling pertains to me though is my journals. You guys have heard me talk a little bit about the journals that I make, or I'll just call them my books. That basically what I do is the journals, not only are journals just fun for me to make because I like making them, but it's also a way for me to upcycle things. So for instance, this book, you're looking at it right here. This is actually a Reader's Digest condensed book. Back in like the 50s through like the 70s, they would do these condensed books, which would be like shortened versions of 5 or 6 different stories, and they put them in these books that have these really, really cool covers. You can find these at any thrift store. I know that I get them a lot from the recycling center. Sometimes if I go to the Goodwill outlet, they'll have a bunch. So these are great, cute little books. And what I will do is that I will basically harvest the covers from these, and I will throw away the insides. I'll recycle the insides because they're not needed anymore. And then I will turn these into a journal so that this book can now have a second life and go on and, you know, bring joy to people. So this is something that I really enjoy doing. So I'm combining upcycled materials like this with new materials like these papers, like, you know, these in here, to create something that is useful and that somebody's going to get some use out of. Here is another one that I did that I really like. And it's got some nice stitching on the side here. You can't see any of that because my focus is weird. But this is just an example of upcycling that I really enjoy doing and something that I'm really, really passionate about. The second of my 5 favorite things is handmade soap. Now, let me explain this one. I think this is all of them I've got right now. These are my soaps. I love them so much. Oh no, I lost one of them. So basically, I love bar soap. Not only do I like bar soap, but I like artisan-made hand soap. When I can pinpoint the exact moment where this became such an impassioned hobby for me. I was 18 years old, and our family had had a house fire. And when I say house fire, I mean we lost everything that we owned. And I was 18, it was 2006, so I was 18. I was my senior year in high school, and if there's, I don't know a time when a tragedy like that isn't traumatic, but at that point in time, it was horrible. Like, it was so tragic, and it was so, like, just bad. And because my father was someone who was sort of known within the community, we got a lot of just random donations of things. And one of the donations that we got was a bar of handmade soap that we got from Indiana Public Radio. We got the soap and we got this weird blanket that had a handle on it. And I'd always been somebody that really enjoyed smell good things, as I call them. Bath and beauty products, just pretty stuff like that that was sort of excessive but smelled nice. And my parents weren't going to use this bar of soap, so they gave it to me. And I remember we were living in a hotel for the first like 2 months after the fire, and I had that bar of soap in the hotel, and it was like, you know, I didn't have my own underwear just yet. I didn't own anything. Like, I had nothing at all. But I had this bar of soap that I could go to, and it was so comforting, and it was something so simple, but something just so pretty, and it was like a happy place for me. And ever since then, in the bathroom, all I use is smell good bar soap, because it's a comfort for me, and it, like, I consider it a joy to wash my hands, just because that little scent, and, you know, I get to collect them and everything, and it's something that I particularly I really enjoy it. So I only do ones that are handmade or made by like a small company. I've done before like some larger ones like that I'll get at TJ Maxx or something like that, but I really prefer sort of small run ones that are made locally. Whenever I travel, I try to seek out soap shops. There's more of them than you would think. So far, every town that I've been to and I've traveled to, there has been at least one soap shop where I can go and like buy fancy handmade soap. It's something that is just, it becomes a destination for me. In addition to that, there's a local soap shop that's here in Alexandria, which is near where I live, and she's made these guys. So as you can see, I've got a lot of soaps from her. They make absolutely brilliant, beautiful soaps. Like this one, as you can see, is a peppermint, and it's got a little candy cane on top. This one is a unicorn themed soap because this particular soap maker has little girls, so she tends to make like little girl things. One of my favorite bars that she had was Baby Shark, which was a really minty, crispy, not crispy, but a really crisp, minty like sea smell, and I love that. And as you guys saw, you know, my bathroom is mermaid themed, so whenever I can get a mermaid soap, I love it. She also makes a really nice mermaid soap that I like. But these are just different ones. Like, I think these came from Alexandria. I got this at a place in Muncie. This came from a place in Brown County. My friend in South Carolina, Paula, sent me these because she knows I love soap. I got this at a craft fair. I got this one in Muncie. This is from one of that. This one from Irvington, which is a really cool Halloween street festival I got it at last year. So I love, this one's called Alchemy, so it's all fancy. I love smelling them. I love collecting them. I love curating my collection. It's so much of a joy. And apparently my apartment, because you always worry about what your apartment smells like or what your house smells like. Apparently, according to everybody who comes here, this is what my apartment smells like. They said it's like walking into Lush, but slightly less overwhelming. And I'm like, oh God, that's perfect. That's what I'm going for. Because if I can get my apartment to smell like beautiful handmade soap, I think that's a success. So, let me go. Okay. For our third of 5 favorite things, we're going to have a special guest with us. The special guest made an appearance in the home tour video, but I wanted to bring him forward so we could actually, you know, meet him and everything. And that is this guy. He's so cute and he's so cuddly. This is Appa, by the way, in case you didn't know by the big arrow on his forehead. But he is a flying bison. He is the animal of Aang, the Avatar Aang from Avatar The Last Airbender. Avatar The Last Airbender really is one of the great joys in my life. I love the lore of the show. I love that the show itself is so fun while also being serious enough to carry weight to it. I think that it's got this universe and this atmosphere around it that is absolutely incredible. The animation is interesting, the characters are compelling. It's the perfect show. And I think even now as I'm thinking about like flaws and everything in the show, like the things that I'm coming up with are more personal things that I would like to see, but not, you know, anything else like that. I have quite a few Avatar things. I've got this guy who's from the original show, and then I've got Momo who's also from the original show. He hangs out on the lamp in the living room. And then I also have Naga and Pabu from Legend of Korra. Naga hangs out in the other Avatar dollhouse that I have, and Pabu sits on top of the bookshelf. So I have Avatar dolls, I have collections of books, I have collections of comics, I have the dolls that I've custom made, of course, but then I've got action figures. I've even got action figures and McDonald's toys from the terrible live action movie. But it's a serious thing for me, and I talk and think about it critically. And I think that the lore and the story is just as good as anything brought to us by Star Wars or anything else like that. And I love it. I'm excited for the live action miniseries that's coming to Netflix, especially after watching The Witcher recently. I'm like, okay, if they bring that same level of style and attention to detail to the new Avatar remake as they brought to The Witcher, holy shit, like it's gonna be great. So I'm super excited about it. He's super excited about it. One day I will do a video talking about one of the things that's most near and dear to me, to my heart when it comes to Avatar, is the resolution of Legend of Korra, when Korra and Asami end up in a relationship together. And that particular revelation had a big impact on my personal coming out story. And I'd really like to be able to talk about that and to be able to express that. So maybe if I have a coming out story video, I will talk about that. So this guy's gonna go back to his bedroom and we're gonna move on to number 4. So say bye. Bye! He's so cute. Number 4 of 5 things that are my favorite things is staying home during the holidays. So I'm not going to talk a lot about my family right now because it's just not the time and the place for it. But basically both my parents have passed away, you know that. So it's just me and my younger sister who you've met. I do have extended family, my mother's family. My mother's parents are still around, and my mother's brother and his family. And then on my father's side of the family, there's some other people. And there's a lot of division within these branches of the family tree, specifically on my mother's side, because they're the ones growing up that I saw a lot more of, and the ones I was much more involved in their life with. And there was some events and incidences after I came out that basically made me know and realize that I'm no longer welcome around them. It's one of those things that I could go if I wanted to. I could go to Thanksgiving. I could go to Christmas Eve. This is a decision that I made for myself. It wasn't forced upon me. It wasn't like, you know, get out of here, we want nothing to do with you. It wasn't anything like that. And I want to make that perfectly clear. And there was no one single thing that did it. It was sort of a kaleidoscope of attitudes and things said that basically made me no longer feel like I was welcome. For the past 32 years of my life, every Christmas Eve, I've had a place to go. I went to my grandparents' house, or I went to my aunt and uncle's house, and we had our Christmas there. And for the first time in those 32 years, I am not going to the holiday this year. I did not go there. I did not go to Thanksgiving. I'm not going tonight. I did not go to Thanksgiving. And I'm willing to like work on the situation and work on the relationships, but it cannot be a one-sided thing. And I know for a fact that my family will not work on these things, because to them, their actions are not only justified, but correct. So there's no point in talking to somebody like that, and I don't feel the need to. My point in all this is that there's a perception that certain attitudes and certain things are universal. That, you know, you always, family is forever, you always have your family, family comes first. That's a lie. That is absolutely incredibly not true. And in fact, I think that that is such a painful lie that it has caused more harm than it ever will cause good. So, as an act of self-care, as an act of stepping back and knowing what's good for you, sometimes you have to make these choices. And they're hard. They're always hard. You know, like I had to call my grandmother. I had called my grandmother and told her back in November that like I wasn't coming to Thanksgiving. And I called her this morning and wished her a happy Christmas Eve. And she asked if I was coming tonight, and I had to say no, because I'm not going to. And this is something that, as unfortunate as it may be and as painful as it may be for some people, this is something I have to do for myself. So that's my number 4 favorite thing, is sort of bucking traditions that have been jammed down your throat for years and just doing your own thing. And I think that there's strength in that. It's not easy, but God, is it rewarding. Like I'm in doing this, it's an act of radical self-respect. And self-respect is something that I've struggled with for my entire life, all of my life. So by me doing this, it's given me confidence, it's given me assurance, and it's made me happy. And that's a favorite thing. How can that not be a favorite thing? Number 5 of 5, last one. Aren't you excited? I don't have any show and tell for this one because it's food related. And I'm guessing you guys don't want to see me eat some food, because I don't want to see me eat some food. I don't want to edit that stuff. But I'm going to tell you a story. I would say probably back in September, October, I went and did my weekly sales stuff. You guys have seen my Friday morning grocery. And there was and salmon was on sale that week. It was like $6 a pound. It was like $5.50 a pound or something like that. So I got a big slab of salmon. And whenever I buy in bulk a lot, and whenever I buy in bulk, I go in and I'll cut it up into portions, put it in baggies, and then I'll put it in the freezer and then pull it out as I need it. Fish is really good for this because fish thaws much quicker than, say, you know, chicken or beef does. So I got some salmon and I was cutting it up. I was struggling to cut it up because it had skin on it and it was an ordeal. But I was just wondering, like, what does it taste like? You know, like what does raw salmon just by itself taste like? I've had sushi plenty of times. I love sushi. So I was just curious, so I just ate a little bit of the salmon. And it was the most delicious thing I'd ever had before. Not only that, but I started like kind of experimenting with different like accents to it. So if I just take a little piece of salmon with the pair of chopsticks and like dunk it in soy sauce real quick and eat it, oh God. Or what I'll do is just, I have really nice olive oil. So I'll just drizzle a little olive oil and eat it like that. And basically for the past like 3 months, since then, I've ate a lot of raw salmon. I would say probably, you know how there's the fattest bear week where these bears in, you know, Alaska go and they just eat entire salmons, like hundreds of them over the summer. I was tapping into that, basically, because it was so good. It was so delicious. And I mean, it's $20 and you'll get maybe 6 or 7 servings out of like one big fillet of salmon, which is reasonable. And I just go and, you know, I'd cut it up. I'd have that for lunch. I'd have it for a snack. I'd have it for dinner, even for breakfast sometimes, because it's just so good. Salmon was on sale again this week, and I got 3 big fillets, and I spent about $60 on those 3, and that's what I'm going to have for the next foreseeable future. Kind of got it down to a science. Cut it up into smaller pieces. Get your chopsticks. Put it in a bowl. Drizzle it with some olive oil. And you can either do salt or soy sauce, depending on how you're feeling. And then you just eat it, and it's... God, it's so good. Yeah. And a lot of people are like, you just eat raw salmon? It's like, yes, try it. So, yeah, go eat some raw salmon. It's what I'm saying. And I think it tastes better than cooked, if I'm honest. So, that's my input on that. So those are my 5 favorite things. 5 favorite things. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, maybe learned about some things that I'm passionate about, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.